What up, players? It's Warboss Tay up in this mud. Today I've got a stubble tutorial for you right here. In a minute I'm going to cut to showing you how I prepped for this by preparing my wet palette. And after that we go right into it. Oh, I think I actually messed this part of it. Let's here line up. Yeah, so I also tell you what colors you're gonna need and how to go about doing this whole little technique. And let me know if you have any questions. I really enjoy doing this stubble technique because, you know, a lot of people just play their Space Marines as baldies, and I kind of like giving them a little bit of that 5 o'clock shadow look. Although it fits more on models like, for example, Guard, Imperial Guard. It is also pretty cool when you see Space Marines have it. Just fixing up his hairline here. There we go. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. It's pretty quick, I think, compared to, you know, some of my other stuff. And sorry, sometimes I notice it going a little bit out of focus, and it's just because it's so detailed. I wanted to kind of get it nice and close, and it ended up kind of mucking about with the focus a bit. So, a little bit of beard stubble, a little bit of hair stubble, and yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Alright, players, let's get started with this stubble tutorial. First, we're going to make our wet palette. Got a little clamshell here. I'm going to pour some of my water in from my painting cup. Oop, that might be a little too much. And then, got a little piece of parchment paper here. Parchment paper is always the best, not wax paper. Gonna pour a little bit of this out, and if you don't have parchment paper, paper towel works just as well. Something that is not gonna break apart too badly. So not Kleenex, not toilet paper, not wax paper, but it's totally fine. Okay, and if you've got water streaming out through the sides like crazy, then you've got too much, so I'm gonna pour a little bit more out into my cup. You just want enough water to be kind of floating along on the bottom, and you don't want it to be leaking out onto the top of your parchment paper. And after a couple seconds, the water should start to make the paper almost transparent, and that is what you want. If you've got a paper towel, of course it's going to go all the way through. You really just don't want the water to be sitting on the top of the paper, so try to get it out to the edges as much as possible. Alright, so there's our wet palette for today. Now I've got a Master of the Chapter, Space Marines, painted up, his skin painted up to a good standard that I like. And now we are going to get to painting his stubble. So we can zoom in a little bit more. There we go. Who's the handsome boy? So, colors we're going to use. Focus, Igor, focus. The colors we're gonna use, yeah, I had a hard time with his eyeballs. The colors we're gonna use are Cadian Flesh Tone, Abaddon Black, and Triad Bark. Actually, I'm missing one. Where's my... I'm missing one more color. Here! No. Also need a little bit of a gray, so for my gray I have chosen, there it is, Dawnstone, which is also has a little bit of a light brown in it. Charlie Brown. So we are going to start mixing our formula. If this was a Vallejo paint, that would be even better because you'd know exactly how much you're using with the dropper bottles. anytime I say I'm using my wet palette, this is what I'm doing. I'm just taking paint out of the pot and I am mixing it onto the palette. And because Games Workshop, you're not able to do like very specific mixes because there's no measurements. Pot is pretty much open and it's up to you to figure out how much you're going to use. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and mix and match. You notice that I didn't just throw the flesh tone in there because I didn't want to mix it up too much. So I've got light closer to flesh, middle, and then a little bit darker. So we're going to try the middle here and see how that goes. So I'm going to add a little bit more water, which I'm just going to take from the side of my wet palette. And so let's add a little bit more of the darker color in there. And I want it nice and thin. So I want it so that I can, it's almost completely watery. You don't want it too watery, but you don't want it to be like paint, if that makes sense. Alright. So I'm going to start by painting on the crown of his head. Light. Kind of looks like my nephew. I've got like a double chin action going. Alright, so we're going to start with the back, test out the color. And work my way to the front. Now, if you know guys who have stubble or who shave their heads, then they kind of have a certain, you know, when their hair starts growing back, it kind of grows in a certain looking pattern. So we're trying to recreate the pattern as accurately as possible. I use Cadian Flesh Tone because that's the last color I used on my model as a highlight. If you went for a more brown color for the skin, then just substitute Cadian Flesh Tone for whatever your skin tone is, if that makes sense. Get a new brush. Okay, and then I do not want my guy to look like Jason Statham, so I'm going to move his hairline a little bit more to the front. And you can see I'm kind of staying from the back and working my way forward on the head. I'm keeping my brush kind of at the back of the head and then just pushing the paint forward a little bit with each stroke, just so that I can be, you know, completely certain of where the paint is going. And don't worry if it looks a little too dark at the beginning. That's what you have your lighter flesh color for. So I'm starting to blend in the lighter flesh color now while the other color is still drying. So it's kind of like the opposite from what I usually do with going dark and then working my way lighter. It's actually not really the opposite, it's kind of the same, but no, I guess opposite by, usually I shade, I like to shade down, and in this case I'm starting with the darker color and I'm working my way up. A good reference if you need some help on figuring out Oh my gosh, I am not in focus at all. I'm so sorry. Igor, what are you doing? Do your job. Sorry, Master. I was eating your birthday cat cakes. What? I was eating the cat cake I made for your birthday. The chocolate cat cake. Oh, that's right. Thank you, Igor. I really spent a lot of time making it, Master. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. Thank you. I'm very happy. I was very happy with my chocolate cupcake. No, not cupcake, Master. Cat cake. What? Yeah, I made you a cat cake out of all the neighborhood cats I could find with my cat petting stick. I don't know why you're making that face. I thought they were delicious. I had 5. Ron Perlman. This is a great effect for guardsmen. If you want to do them on your Space Marines, if you have like a very rugged Space Marine chapter. Let's see, who else you use this for? Anyone that has been out on campaign or fighting the good fight for a long time, and you can really, you know, play around with where on the head you are focusing on. Where does the, you know, where does the hair come up to? How far does it go in? So let's just take a little look at it here. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm trying to get this stupid focus. I think you need to buy a new camera, Master. And I think you're right. Now, if you think it looks a little too dark, like the beard part on his chin is a little too dark now, all you have to do is take some of that lighter side of the paint and just use it almost as a highlight color. That's a little bit too much. I'm just going to draw that out. That way it doesn't look like, what's his name, Bluto from Popeye. Yeah, this is kind of what my Commander Shepard looked like in Mass Effect. Had that 5 o'clock shadow action. Alright, and there you have it. So I hope you enjoyed this really quick tutorial on how to do a stubble effect. You could also use it like I did for shaved heads, and yeah. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, everybody.